Good morning, Israel. Good morning, believers. It's your brother, JD Nija, with Benjamin 144 channel. My other channel is down right now. I got a strike for cursing out these wicked Hebrew Israelites. And I'm probably going to keep doing it to a certain extent until, I don't know, until it gets out of my craw. These guys have really made a mark for themselves with their wickedness. If you don't know who the black Hebrew Israelites are, they're these Kanye West and Kyrie Irving types, but they stand on the corner and they claim to be Israel, they claim to be Jews, but they're wicked and they're not with God. They're against us. So, my channel, I'm not one of those slick YouTube guys that's going to do all kinds of fancy thumbnails and fancy editing. I come on here raw and I just talk to you. I talk about the Bible. I'm a Bible scholar. I am an Israelite. Even though I look neither like the 1948ers, probably look more like a 1948er than I do these Negroes that claim to be Jews. I don't know who these guys are. There's a lot of things that make sense about them possibly being the Jews, but the more I see how they act and what they teach and what they say, the Lord must be doing something else. There must be something else about Israel than claiming it. I always thought I was a Christian up until about 20 years ago. The Lord told me, no, you're one of mine. You're of Benjamin, of Judah. Comes to find out I am Israel. But no one wants to hear that because they're like, you're not Jewish. No. And you're not a black Hebrew Israelite. You're not black. No. Does that mean that I'm not Jew? Does that mean I'm not Judah? I believe it. The Lord told me. So what I'm pushing out is going to be, no one's going to want to believe it because I'm not what the world is saying, and that's what the Bible says. The ones that are going to actually be mine are going to be the ones that you least suspect of being His. So that being said, I do these Bible teachings on Word of Truth with JD Nija. It's Word of Truth. w/with/JD, capital JD NIJAH, Word of Truth with / capital JD Nija with a J. So, the thing that came up today for me is with all this Kyrie Irving and Kanye West, and I've been following these black Hebrew Israelites, and they had me sucked in for a while. I thought they were my brothers, but they're not my brothers. They're not Israel. They're anti-Christian. They're actually anti-Semitic. They're anti-Bible. They claim to know 100% of the Bible, but they gaslight you and tell you things that are clearly in the Bible, like that Jesus was born of a virgin birth. That's true. But they try and tell you that he was born of Joseph because that way they can promote their Negro-centric bloodline of Jesus as a Negro funky philosophy. And sorry if I'm not the happy-go-lucky guy or the stern, let me tell you, or whatever these people do on YouTube to get you to subscribe. I'm just a guy that's has a heart for the Lord. I came out of the Christian church, originally born-again Christian, with the Calvary Chapel branch out of California. It started with Chuck Smith, And now we see the Harvest Festival. I forget the guy's name. I'm kind of far removed from that. But then I was in the Baptist church, the Foursquare Baptist church, the Pentecostal charismatic. And so I learned a lot about the Bible. And when you look at it, the Baptists and the Christians are much closer to the true worshipers of God than these black Hebrew Israelites, and to a large extent even these Ish people that claim to be Israel too. They know certain things about the Bible that's wonderful. They know the Old Testament. It's wonderful. But they miss Jesus Christ, and that's their issue. But these black Hebrew Israelites, they miss the whole point. And so I'm warning people. I'm trying to warn people. I don't have any followers because everyone wants to believe something extraordinary. And if you want to believe something extraordinary, believe that there's one or two or three guys out here actually preaching and teaching the Bible as it's meant to be taught. So I'm going to do this first. We're in Mark. I opened to Mark. I was going to go to 9:40, and that's where it says, those who say they are Jews, but they're not. Or those who are either you're with us or against us. That's the one it was. But anyhow, I opened to this because this is where the Pharisees are rebuked. And this is what I'm doing in regards to these black Hebrew Israelites. They're going to fool a lot of people. They've got a lot of people following their nonsense doctrine. And it says, it's Mark chapter 7, verse 1, that then came together unto the Pharisees and certain of the scribes which came from Jerusalem. And when they saw some of the disciples eat bread with defiled hands, that is to say, unwashed, they found fault. For the Pharisees and all the Jews, except they wash their hands often, eat not, holding the tradition of the elders. And when they come from the market, except they wash, they eat not. And many other things there be which they have received to hold, as the washing of cups, pots, brazen vessels, and of tablets. So these guys were all about cleaning, showing that they wash themselves. They're always clean. They're clean on the outside. They're making a show for men, right? And this is a continual thing to this day. I'm working with a Jewish friend of mine today, and he's the same way. He's Jewish. He washes. He keeps the outside clean, so he wants to appear clean. Then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, why walk not thy disciples according to the tradition of thy elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands? And he answered and said unto them, well, has Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. So you have all these black Hebrew Israelites, GMS, Sakari, IUI, I don't know all their ISUPK. There's a bunch of them, and the interesting thing is they all claim to be black Hebrew Israelites, but they all have different doctrines. They all stay apart. The Lord said we would all be of one tongue, one mind, one heart, one body. These guys aren't even in their own religion. They're not one body. So what I'm trying to emphasize with my teaching is, if you're really following the Lord, you're going to think the same. You're going to love him with all your heart, and you're going to love your neighbor like yourself. It's pretty simple. And if you love him with all your heart, that means you believe what this Bible says. You're not like myself. I tend to get washed back and forth with every wind of doctrine because I'm human. I'm just like a lot of you. And so I'm coming to that point now where I've consolidated my mindset into sticking with what the word says and trying to understand exactly what the word, which is the word of truth. He is the truth, the way, and the life. that's my teaching. That's my ministry. And so I would hope that more people would listen to my videos, but I have a few subscribers over on my other channel. This channel gets nothing. I can't even get a view. I can't even get someone to hit on it. Just it's really interesting how either I'm getting shadow banned or people in general, their mind isn't with the truth. So anyway, and it says, howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. For laying aside the commandments of God, ye hold the traditions of men, as the washing of pots and cups and many other such like things you do. And he said unto them, this is Jesus talking to the Pharisees, full well you reject the commandments of God, that ye may keep your own traditions. And that's what these the people in Israel are doing the same thing. Everything's about the phylacteries and the washing of hands and the wailing wall and putting on the certain clothing and a lot of tradition and not a lot of love, not a lot of helping each other and things like that. Full well you reject the commandments of God, that ye may keep your own traditions. For Moses said, honor thy father and thy mother. Yeah, and it goes into being defiled. You don't defile yourself over here in Mark 7:14. And when he called all the people unto him, he said unto them, hearken unto me, every one of you, and understand. Do you understand? I say that a lot. Do you understand? Because the Lord didn't preach these things for everyone to get. And a lot of people just don't get it. And that's probably why my channel is not as big as it would be, because it's hard to understand the Lord, because he wants to destroy a lot of people. Believe it or not, he's coming back to kick some ass. And you can find that in the Bible too. He's not coming to bring peace on the earth. He's coming to mess people up. There's nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him, but the things which come out of him, these are they that defile a man. If any man has ears to hear, let him hear. And when the disciples asked him concerning this parable, he said, are ye so without understanding also? Do ye not perceive that whatsoever thing from without enter into the man, it cannot defile him? Because it entereth not into his heart, but into the belly, and goeth out of the draught, purging all meats. That which cometh out of the man, that defileth the man. For from within, out of the hearts of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, and murders. That's these black Hebrew Israelites. They're setting up an evil, wicked religion, a flunky, small bus, hateful religion, and people are following it because a lot of Negroes aren't well schooled. I'm just going to say it. I'm not saying anything. That's my opinion, and that's not just an opinion. That's fact. A lot of these neighborhoods where these guys grew up, the teaching was subpar because of their own lack of ability to want to learn and to listen. They were brought up in a certain rowdy neighborhood. They had a hard time even making it to school. And I'm sitting at the school here where I grew up. Not the best school. I'm in the ghetto too. I'm in Norwalk, California. It's full of Issachar. And so I know the difference between a good school, a mediocre school, and a bad school. Right down the way over here, the ghetto changes to Judah, and those poor kids had to worry about whether they were going to make it to school alive or not. So what I'm saying is the level of intelligence and ability to understand literature and understand literary typisms, as in metaphor, a simile, personification. These things, they're beyond their pay grade. So we see that they're easily sucked into this small bus um, Negro-centric doctrine that these devils are pushing out, these so-called Jews. It says, "For from within, out of the hearts of men proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, and murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these things come from within and defile the man." And that's what's happening. These guys are defiled, and they're spitting out their vile, wicked doctrine on people. And now it's reached the higher levels of Negro culture, Black Negro culture, with these Kyrie Irvins and these and Kanye Wests. I don't know if it's a psyop of some kind, or if it's actually the Lord creating this atmosphere that even guys that are pushed up the ladder like Kanye and Kyrie, they're at a place where their voice can be heard, and people are thinking, well, if they're rich, see, and that's where the mind of people is really thrashed, is they think just because you got rich in this society that you have smarts, or you have a heart, or you have something to offer. It's the guys like me that actually have something to offer that are not being heard, that people won't listen. And that's been a big part of my understanding going forward, is that the men of the Lord aren't the ones that are going to be pushed to the top until the last days. And then when you see me, it's going to be way too late. So it's time to get on board now. If you're listening to this video, it's time to get on board now and eat as much bread that I feed you as you can, because I'm pushing forth a lot of good bread, but I'm not being heard. So you don't have to eat it all, because if you eat this word, like the Bible says, if you eat it, it's going to taste sweet in your mouth, but when it hits your stomach, it's going to make your belly bitter. And so what I'm been able to do is eat a lot of this truth and not throw up. I am sick. I am getting sick, because when you know the truth and you see how wicked this world is, it'll make you sick. It will. And so don't feel put off because I come at you on the edge of vomiting, on the edge of, yeah, it's not a happy thing to try and do this. So in Mark 9:40, I have a little bit of time. Let's start in the disciples' dispute. They're talking about Jesus, and it says, he came to Capernaum, and being in the house, he asked them, what was it that you disputed among yourselves in the way? But they held their peace, for by the way they had disputed among themselves who should be the greatest. So this is what I was just talking about. See how the messages will follow. If you're listening to me for any amount of time, you'll see how I'm just going off the cuff, and the Lord will bring these messages to you in the form that that confirms what I was just saying. So he's asking them, what were you guys talking about? And they didn't want to answer him because they were trying to figure out who's going to be the greatest. And he sat down and called the 12 and said unto them, if any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all and servant of all. So what's happening to these black Hebrew Israelites? They're trying to push their way to the front. They think they're Israel, and they're pushing themselves to the front, saying, no, we're Israel. No, and then the powers that be are pushing back, going, shut your mouth. You're not the ones. So these two groups are fighting for the top position, right? But the Lord straightens them out. who's in the top position? Someone like me that's not even fighting for top position. I'm just fighting for you. I'm fighting for your soul. I'm fighting for my soul. I'm in no position. There's only one good, and that's the Father. So, and he sat down and called the 12 and said, if any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all and servant of all. And he took a child and set him in the midst of them. And when he had taken him in his arms, he said unto them, whosoever shall receive one of such children in my name receiveth me. And whosoever shall receive me receiveth not me, but him that sent me. So this is that same thing. I've gone over it 100 times in my other channel. The word sent. People like me are sent to give you the true word of God. And then there's other ones that are sent by the devil to gather these tares, these goats, these wicked people that will believe things that aren't true, traditions of men. Gather these people together so that the Lord can burn them up all at once. And so what they're talking about right here, what the Lord's talking about is the Gentiles. And that's another thing that these black Hebrew Israelites, they don't believe anyone can make it in except their own Negro-centric, small bus believing, hateful, vile, defiled followers. And so when he says, if you receive one of these children in my name, the children are these innocent Christians. These are the ones that want to know God, that have no ability or have had nobody teach them. So they're in the Christian churches, and they know about Jesus Christ. They know about the saving grace of the blood. They know these things, but they don't know Israel. They don't know the deeper story. They don't know what someone like me goes through, because they have no idea what Israel was sent here to do. Israel was sent here to take a punishing and to be an example unto what kind of sacrifice should be made to get to the kingdom. And so as Israel, we shouldn't be pushing people away. We shouldn't be saying, if you're not us, you're not going to make it. Israel is supposed to be saying, we know the Lord, follow us. We know that he loves you. We know that all you have to do is love him back and believe in him. That's what Israel is supposed to be doing. And see, no one's listening. There will come a time when this will break open. And people will go, J.D. Nijah has the right spirit of truth. I worship in spirit and truth. And that's what Jesus is trying to explain to the disciples right here. You don't need to be the biggest. You just need to know that even the smallest believer can get in if their heart is right. So I like this message. It's going really well, but it's hard because there's a lot coming against me. I don't even get any views on this. Do I have to start saying, please listen? Maybe that'll be the thumbnail, the title for this one. Please listen. What do the other ones people say? Urgent message. Yeah, it's urgent, but I shouldn't have to scare you to get you to listen. The Spirit should draw you to me somehow. I don't know why it isn't, but anyhow, a lot of people are going to get destroyed for not listening. So in the same chapter, the miracle in Jesus' name, it says, but Jesus said, forbid him not. What's it say? And John answered him, saying, Master, we saw one casting out devils in thy name, and he followeth not us, and we forbade him because he followed not us. See what I'm saying? And Jesus said, forbid him not, for there is no man which shall do a miracle in my name that can lightly speak evil of me. For he that is not against us is on our part. If you're not against us, then you're with us. For whoever shall give you a cup of water to drink in my name, because you belong to Christ, verily I say unto you, he shall not lose his reward. And whosoever shall offend one of these little ones that believe in me, it is better for him to have a millstone hanged about his neck, and he were cast into the sea. And that's what one of these Hebrew Israelite camps is called, Great Millstone. Why? Because they don't believe on Jesus Christ. They're giving you the name of their wicked ambitions. Their wicked ambitions is to get you to get cast into the sea along with them. That's how wicked they are. Word of Truth, or what should I say, Benjamin 144 channel. Go over to Word of Truth with JD Naja. I think I have 1 or 2 days left before I get my channel back. Subscribe. This is urgent for all believers. Get in the boat. Time to get in the boat. I love you, Israel. I love you, believers. Till next time, JD Naja, I'm out.